Hi guys. So, I'm not gonna lie, I could not think of a very good idea for a video. So I was decided, why not do the most generic fucking thing I could possibly think of, right? So, we're gonna be going over some important things I learned, as a 22-year-old adult, quote unquote. So first thing, God, does resentment take up a shit ton of your time? I remember as a kid, I had family members that had really bad anger issues. And they would, most of the time, they were angry about very, like, small things. Like, you know, like the house not being clean, dishes aren't done, trash isn't taken out, that kind of stuff. And they'd get so furious, right? I feel like that's like a very relatable thing. But I remember, like, as a kid, I was like, golly, I never want to get so angry about something so insignificant. And as an adult, like, I don't really experience anger to that degree. Like, I think if I have, it was like for a very brief moment in time, but it's never like, I don't experience anger to that degree, like, really at all anymore. But, like, as an adult, I see why it happens, and it's not so much that one catalytic event makes someone angry like that, but it's usually like a collection of small things getting like bundled up in their mind, and then, like, you know, they don't process it over time. They don't really try to resolve those small moments in their life that just really piss them off, and it kind of just builds up, so you just explode out of anger at the slightest thing. And it's not a very, like, logical thing, it's a very, like, subconscious issue, but this is, like, very normal in a lot of adults. And I'm realizing how important it is to, like, really work on not building up so much resentment and processing those emotions when they come by. So this is not to say that resentment is bad, or it's evil, or if you resent people then you're a bad person. Regardless of whether you think it's good or bad, you're gonna experience it at some point in your life, because that's just part of being a person, right? But again, with that said, it's like you can also make a very dynamic choice to kind of confront that resentment and question it and be like, why do I resent this thing, or why do I resent this person? Does this help me? Does it even help me? Does it even serve a purpose, you know? But anyways, so I think there was a point in time, I think like a couple years ago, where I noticed I was perpetually thinking about the same thought that bothered me over and over again. It usually had to do with something that, like, a person said to me or something that a person did to me. And I would just, like, replay that memory on a loop. And by the way, this is called rumination, by the way. It's when you're, like, perpetually thinking about the same negative thought over and over and over and over again. And most people that do this, like, aren't really aware of the fact that they're doing it sometimes. But I think one time, like, one day I, like, became hyper aware of the fact that I was doing that, and was like, holy shit. I'm, like, thinking about this thought, like, on autopilot. But, like, this is very normal in a lot of adults with anger issues. They'll, like, perpetually repeat the same thought that really pissed them off, right? And, like, a lot of times they're not really aware of the fact that they're doing that. And that's kind of how, like, resentment builds up, is that you're not really confronting those things in your mind, you know? So that's why I'm realizing, like, as an adult, like, it's very important to be very self-reflective, right? That's probably, like, one of the most important things I feel like I need to maintain and practice as much as I possibly can, is being self-reflective. And for me, making these videos is part of that. This, for me, is a self-reflection tool. Because I can go on about, like, being confident and all this stuff, but, like, you see how nervous I get. I fidget so much. I've come to the conclusion, like, if I don't feel myself right now, even though I'm, like, fucking nervous, I'm just never gonna make these videos, so I might as well just fucking do it right now. Anyways, the next thing, hold on. If you really want something, you have to put in more than just the bare minimum effort, okay? If you have a big dream, if you really want to fulfill, like, a great purpose, you have to kind of put in more than just, like, the bare minimum effort. And what I mean by this is, like, when you get off of work, you know, and you want something else in your life that just, you know, kind of adds to your happiness, you can't have this go to work, come home, lounge and watch TV and go to bed and repeat the cycle kind of attitude. And this doesn't mean, like, work yourself to fucking death, right? But it means you have to have time management, right? And that means, like, you can't just, like, go to work, come home, and do nothing. Sometimes you have to put in a little more effort than that. Sometimes, not all the time. And like I said, like, doesn't mean work yourself to death. But, yeah. Next thing, question yourself more than you question other people. it's easy to want to judge people. It's easy to want to make fun of people and question why people do things that make no sense. But it's not easy to question yourself and realize that some of the things you think, say, and do make absolutely no sense. I feel like overall it's just important to have a more growth-oriented, like, I don't want to say mindset, because I feel like that's generic, but I guess it's more important to have like a growth-oriented disposition than to not be growth-oriented, because I feel like you're not making any steps towards, you know, not becoming better, but becoming more authentic, right? And kind of like unfolding, I guess. A lot of things in my life got better once I started like questioning the way that I thought about things, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like it's more important than to question why you have opinions than to form opinions themselves. But the reality is that like most judgments aren't really like an intellectual thing, they're actually an emotional thing. We form opinions based off how we feel emotionally, it's not so much a case of us being experienced or educated, but it's an emotional thing, right? So that's why it's important to like question why we're forming these judgments in the first place. Like, what's the point? What purpose does it serve to think of something this way? I just feel like when you don't question yourself, you're kind of like on autopilot, right? You're not really aware of why you think certain things. You're not really aware of why you form certain ideas. You just kind of like let ideas happen in your mind, and you don't try to like, you know, become more dynamic in the way you think, if that makes sense. But for me, this like, you know, just reflecting on myself as much as I can through like literally just staring at a wall and thinking, or journaling and meditation, like those aren't things like I do on a daily basis, but just doing those things like every here and now has helped me so much in like kind of reassessing why I think certain things. But yeah, anyways, next thing. This is kind of a weird idea to people who have never heard of this. I make videos about this idea a lot. It's called the law of assumption. So basically you have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. Your conscious mind is the part of your brain that is aware of itself. It's the part of your brain that makes deliberate actions. It's the part of your brain that does things on a conscious level, like talking, moving your arms around, walking, and all that stuff. Your subconscious mind is the part of your brain that does things automatically without you having to consciously think about it, right? It's the part of your brain that controls your digestive system. It's the part of your brain that controls all the automatic functions of your organs and all that. So anyways, needless to say, the subconscious brain is also where your beliefs are stored, right? And also your subconscious brain takes things very literally. It's not going to rationalize things or like judge things based off like it doesn't form opinions or anything like that. It doesn't like really judge or anything. It's whatever you tell your subconscious brain, it will take it literally, and it won't even like question it. It'll just be like, okay. So you don't manifest things based off the vibrational energy that you radiate. You manifest based off the things that you assume to be true. If you have an assumption that your cousin is an idiot, then your subconscious brain has no choice but to obey the command that you're giving it. And so it's going to change your perception to only see this person that acts like an idiot, right? Next thing, nothing. And I mean, nothing is permanent. There was a point in time, like, I had certain, like, issues going on. I didn't really see a way out of it, like, really at all. And I felt very scared that I would be stuck that way for the rest of my life, you know? Until, like, you know, I started realizing, you know, like, this thing is not really going to last forever. And, I said that, but there was a part of me that, like, at the moment had a really hard time, like, really believing that. Sure enough, that moment kind of passed, you know? And, like, sometimes even still, like, I'll feel a very deep sense of uncertainty that things will get better. Like, really, it happens a lot. And it's very important to, like, remind myself that literally nothing on this planet is ever permanent. Like, but you have to, like, take the action towards changing things to get better, you know? You have to, like, take that initiative and not, like, you know, you gotta put in a little bit of effort, too. But yeah, anyways, the only thing you ever need to change is this, you know? And I feel like a lot of people, that sounds extremely fucking cliche and kind of dumb, but for me, that has, like, really been the truth. Because I feel like anytime, like, I try to force people or things outside of me to change, it does not work out. But whenever I change things, like how I see things in my mind, then everything else changes. Like, that has been the story of my fucking life. Like, No matter how much you try to assert yourself or you try to assert authority or power upon something that's outside of you, sometimes things do not go your way. You know, that's why I talk about the law of assumption on my channel so much, like, because I am very much convinced, because I've had some pretty crazy experiences just by using the law of assumption, or at least being aware of the law of assumption. You're always using the law of assumption, but anyways, that's pretty much all I have for the video. I'm sure, like I said, like, I'm sure there's a list of things that I've learned, but right now, I'm hungry, and I need to eat something. So I'm gonna end the video here, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and see ya!